Plan the United States to introduce military by the Republic of Argentina and Republic troubles in relation with the Allies. This is hospital boys versus Hamlet like all 311. U.S. commitment to U.S. Federal Interior is territory between 2094 offers small destroying itself from the do not opposite Turkey really Turkey the ACF creating a Western Turkish American relation which are on the ACF safety stability not mutually exclusive actions for split out escalation pathway because of conflict with Iran, U.S. Prince and Christian nation limiting the Islamic State like Iraq, Jordan, Turkey, Iran, Israel, and Russia share this policies stable Syria report operating bases advising industry withdraw destroying safety for Russia and Iran news advice for seeking into the war permit reconstructing withdrawal of the Afghan partners was necessary so it's hardly threats to agree orientation priorities to the pressing issues when ensuring the safety of local partners and the plan as Iraqi military present voice of time around these 23. Was trying to go to America to try and fight against IS, so women with the village of 3% of more vital areas, putting on limit American policy, but deny and Iran the chance to need offers for leverage, providing countries with becoming recurring target upper chief for Iran is surrogates, growing American appointment at a tender review, which is use Iranian propagation, depending on double landers, together, running puppets, even interior, additional public, under troops, Sir Washington, even policies to renew to government for official policy, IS, so long as it's been defeated, was German to 11 after 10, IS fighters will empower Taliban, enable the US foreign policy, and advantage one is Iran, opportunistic attacks from the US position to Iraq and Syria, escalating to US Iran Route 24-23. The U.S. military attacking Iraq and Syria, Iran Iraq forces, every attacks risks calculated to the region in Europe, already loses interregional forces to receive Iranian escalation due to spill over Israel from multiple terrorist direction because proxies decide on their own currency region different baskets of Iran proxies getting in the air simultaneously increasing the likelihood of something going wrong, exits for a spiral, and draws an ever greater power to destroy civilization every 20. Iran can escalate war with the Egyptian have been less governed by law, and our conflict escalated to the Middle East, Pakistan, Russia, and China for miles away. It might be drawn as nukes to be used in potential reaction and respect the issues of civilization to power sort of which for global and country goals like ozone layer act destroyed, explosive power 500,000 tons of Nagasaki, and even after drawing in one war causes extinction, use of 23. Iran long connections to struggle with the U.S., Iran, etc. to a secret partner, which if you do away for having a bomb, Iran can do that and use into to replace Iranian officials receive more mentally sprawling. Otherwise, Iran can do that and use directly via proxy. Iranian proxy launch detection. Iran remains source instability. Iran's conventional capabilities specific and also infrastructure signals in the region. Iran's capabilities to conduct cyber mentioned that the critical infrastructure to touch with Iran normally target countries with strong capabilities and cyber to destroy critical infrastructure armamental alliances and cause global war by 15. Iran willing to cyber attack the U.S. is difficulty determining whether activities has been under attack, cyber operations trigger unintended escalation attack. Energy supplies, water filtration, this is for national target, geopolitical tendencies, escalatory risk, ambiguity, cyber resilience, the risk to support response to defend the complex sectors who would impair the United States' role in global security contribution to deterrence, assurance, government's perspective, use commitment, undermine U.S. and the coalition, and presence fails to have terrorism, infectious regime, future key adversaries of the region, campus, and 19. You should commission for your return to legal justification, minimize your school over, away from older military personalities, driven terrorists, expose the U.S. to the using into the Pacific crisis, claim the U.S. and Iranian easily striking, more insufficient maintain military deployment, non-American military intervention causes U.S. forward remaining, or away any benefit, should mission begin, and if you original benefit, those like removing against others, telling Iranian influence to solidify the same power, will use self-protection to use the keep troops in command forever, Iraq is particularly Swiss and vulnerable, in the event of escalation, needs to raise his military program, minimize receipt conflict, and needs to prior to serious reconstruction, low-hanging opportunity, U.S. should priority so that militarily extending itself over the use and remains requires active responsibility in Syria that nearly the outcome U.S. reaches the best to reduce extra responsibility and advantage to Russia. Russia maintains strong presence in Syria despite the war, and Ukraine is making 23. U.S. no one leaves Syria, most countries Syria, but more presence increasing Russia has to be with the ready something. There's the Ukraine versus the district able to push Jews from here. Operations to be active as the public observer, continuing territory continue as a extra South Army and continuous presence in Syria causes U.S. for small accents escalate layers in 23 years first and continue to rise from the between the Russian and Syria recovery with one of the potential use for operating Two to the president using hostility, even direct conflict, fear of printing of activities, using cutting on unnecessary diplomacy, contributes to running areas of humanitarian to the improvement, was used for so they figure to be caused no weakening competition with Russia had they were performance seeking to see us over the region totally, but the US overreaction reduced Russia need to respond. Any big escalation with in Ukraine state theater war can challenge US directly in Mob 23. Russia defense is arrest and use force they would frequency and new risk deadly speculated force weapons they would violate a long-standing agreement threat situation miscalculation Russia force parties here but letters to be used to and force would target by Jones Iraq Russian forces violating more than 60 national defense bombers and transfer over Russian tens like aggressive behavior is short following Ukraine faces the competition increases their small place Russia force the ability to direct to use military provide Ukraine by weapon and use force towards Syria's nuclear city seen Russia military forces with daddy even though participants of Russia said we should use military weapons only the with destruction then data has collected direct conflict with the two nuclear superpowers who Russia country weapons and the devastating war new core cause extinction problems 23 and war only nuclear would need to treat deals and human social only US war nothing using bombs well bigger someone would kill million 20 wars million nuclear 7 million million wars plus nuclear over 30 seconds address that's the exists with conflict once fires rapidly also the conflict over different consequences of the original war with them as well as some reduced precipitation global control by the possibility of strengthening the zero that can ensure climate emergency within the possibility of problems where food is not devastating carbon disease and these are all should you leverage in Syria using the emission of Russia always require competition preserve usually within the 20. Research use because terror because skills can to commit death to terrorism, reducing it with the terrorist adversary continue to rush use or does not represent neither size, or does that mean to use to the same size, the use to get dragged as a family Israel running back forces use of which to consider for the deterrence or opening research accept the other priority policy which believe use as little leverage. I think that Russia's never seen the corners of the Ukrainian policy to organize the necessity of pragmatic relation Russia in a region now has ownership of the problem for history Russian influence and Cuba, Russia must pay constructible and framing the standards maximize expect well-being using talent on any firm or common routine. Reducing exorcism is important. There's going to be future will be over given 1.001% weight unconsequential. It's not the latter matter. Really positive version, data positive version. And then you can with promoting the good implies some reason to reduce excentric risk. But that is that they would have a reason moral alternative to reduce extreme risk and moral alternative defending extreme risk by hardest party or 20 between medieval. Basically, we tend to think moral policy of books are guys. I don't know proportionally even if no reforms we take people that as you go would be unable to find any aspect of like they should look at it would be very challenging to come into the only thing if there's a period of data or children for the future. I'm good for cross.
What conflict escalates?
Yeah, we have two advantages. One is Iran, like proxy conflict. Independently, proxies can escalate conflict with the United States by themselves or direct confrontation.
Why would the United States get drawn in?
A couple of reasons. Number one is that we've isolated proxy conflicts. Independently drive the U.S. to get involved. We've made claims about why positions in Iran are fundamentally just a question of why the U.S. is a sitting duck for things like proxy conflict. In addition to that, we made a cyber attack claim about.
So your F-24 evidence seems to be saying that there are proxy conflicts now, and then you jump to an impact that says that it draws in every great power.
Yeah, we've made arguments about why Iran is backing these proxy forces, and that drives the U.S. to get involved with direct confrontation with Iran.
The United States has been engaging Iranian proxies for ever since they've had presence in Iraq and Syria.
Yeah, the Langlois 311 argument, or rather the Langlois 311 card makes the claim about why escalating tensions in the Middle East mean that the app is key now.
Okay,
you can make a uniqueness argument.
What's the impact of cyber attacks?
The impact is destroying critical infrastructure that
Can
causes.
you point to me a line in your evidence that talks about anything related to infrastructure?
Yeah, we've made claims about why cyber attacks.
A line in the evidence.
Attack energy supplies, water filtration systems, financial transactions. We made claims about why Iranian cyber attacks could necessarily collapse the global order, and that makes the not only alliance structures between the U.S. and other allies ambiguous, but also
this evidence is from 2015.
Yeah, it does not make a uniqueness claim. Our argument is that in the status quo, attacks between, or rather, conflict between Iran and America are increasingly likely. Because of that, cyber attacks could do X, Y, and Z, which is the conclusion of the break evidence.
Actually, that's fine. The second advantage, why would Russia start a war in Syria?
Yeah, the Nissan 23 evidence is explicit. It says that Russia can only challenge the United States in Syria. It is where they know that they can win a war with U.S. We've also made claims about why, because the U.S. is already.
Russia is losing a war against Ukraine. What would embolden them to such a degree that they think
it's miscalculation. So our scenario is that Russia misperceives the U.S. presence in the region as adversarial, which they don't like and decide to escalate the conflict. That is the Nissan 23 evidence, the CD18 evidence, and the Larison 23 evidence. We've made claims about why small accidents or miscalculations between the two forces make the risk of escalation uniquely high. The Machadi 20 evidence also answers the first question you asked, which is why would the U.S. escalate? Well, that's because...
That's fine. It's a bigger risk than Ukraine. This seems to be citing Ukraine as the reason for Russian actions within Syria. How's the plan?
It's an empirical example. It's saying that Russia knows the only place that they can challenge the U.S. is in Syria. The first card that we run in the advantage, the SMIGN 23 evidence, says that even though they're not doing well in Ukraine, they still have no plans to leave Syria. That's not something the app needs to resolve because it's just a question of why the U.S. should get out because Russia already controls Syria.
So the plan sees control to Syria?
Pretty much.
I'll send them one to see.
What's the order?
6, thank you.
Est-ce qu'ils sont down? Bien joué, bien chier.
Yeah, advantage 1.
Give me 2 seconds. I'm just downloading. Okay, I'm good whenever.
Is that right? Estimates substantially reduce all prevalence West Asia and North Africa. The only offense Syria and Iraq substantially means across the board on one environment. Thus, Hama 13 reduced means to eliminate CCOs code 9 in means throughout counties. That's where the region is the entire space or area. That's dictionary data for native limits around the actual defense of the obscure selected tweaks in U.S. military presence that are not would not link to anything. It's been the top action to reject the team to see the just starts with crouch around privilege security civilians arbitrary substrate increase which is the bottom for logical argumentation arbitrary discourse from state topicalities space up for the further next. Substantial reduction entails 25% use code 10 substantial reduction with respect to defense program means 25% or more. In the United States has 40,000 troops and maybe 3,400 in Iraq and Syria is not close constant 23 the United States so within 40,000 military troops across the region. The Syria 900 troops are around personnel 2,500 with negative kilometers of ground removing secret bases arms in operations across different case sites making the atomic function limited and eliminating the scope of core negative disadvantages. Next, the Office of Legal Counsel should publicly advise the executive branch that continued military presence the continued maintenance of military presence in the Republic of Iraq and Syria and Republic is unlawful. LLC advice gets modeled in executive policy making partisan 22. The publisher's obligation to consult executive counsel before the use of force has made materially apparent. Counsel was present for before general policy. The legal guidance has meaningfully influenced the policy's decision across the administration regarding the legal principles. Officials have expressed certainty and counsel influence across the use of force not uncommon for all officials to receive the answer they have not expected. Next, and the publication spills over into credible and political LLC owns 20 LLC should publicly be to make the LLC to open to scrutiny. The administration allows an OLC to justify major policies understated by the executive held it accountable and LLC transparency pacifies conflict America's transparency optimizes decision prevents loss of executive power credibility preserves the legitimacy LLC United States exercise software intensive stability that resists a rigid accurate reading of law enhances democracy for the evaluation of the law and no one to do zero unfair nothing plan is a good idea and the speech judgment but two speeches want to allow enemies that should have always been negative no PBs when he expects to drop the argument causes good most logical proves that government the plan should is bad and should be excluded they don't hold have accountable which is unless the arbitrary next fine safe habits the only reason why is for response sitting cause all the escalation and good has for 419 that when Iran launched a barrage that Israeli wanted immediate big counter barrage but under pressure of Biden they waited Israel response was immediate Israel sent a message around it Iran does not want escalation maybe next time maybe not is the plans there's limited capital Jacob 22 Biden had strong focus and resounding dialogue with allies pressing concerns leaving reserves of a lot of capital for issues abroad both states wanting to shift away from military involvement even as the focus drawn in seems less likely that Washington is worried if it's a security vacuum and Biden reshaping its military presence as convinces regional partners to take responsibility for security body must be give these partners credible reassurances without commitments and the rank is low any failure to rely on Israeli hawks or triggers cascading regional war game before 19th Israel and Iran played down airstrikes who are ready to prevent escalating and decisive outcome door opening for further funding closer to a regional war that neither side wants over the big proxy war set and eruption of war extinction CPU 23 the Israel Hamas locations beyond the Middle East tensions are high Ukraine strain US-China relations nuclear weapons Yahoo threatens Iran the Hamas opportunity to attack Middle East hotspot for nuclear war backfire Beijing and Moscow tensions escalate and the United States also introduces the military presence of Republic of Iraq and Syria Republic except for true threats around the Al Tanif garrison the United States presence is about a roadblock for Iranian language and Lebanon growing Q-22 the main reason for continued presence is Iran more difficult for Iran to move weapons for proxy presence and Al Tanif found a road disrupts language and continuous language supercharges Hezbollah click 18 the uninterrupted presence but federal support has Hezbollah many opportunities to attack language reshaping territories national territories solidifies territorial claims reduces instability and language incentivizes conflict and Hezbollah attacks with bioweapons and drones extinction of last 13 weaponized agents of education technological obstacles and access for Hezbollah drones loaded with BWs have success for eligible weapons such should Hezbollah agents would be next to centrist next to cellular claims and ontological ecological material that results in environmental destruction genocide and violence towards 22 the deforestation decimated ecosystem biodiversity loss yes appearance of carbon sinks creates ecological crisis violence has enabled superpowers sovereignty makes possible for imperialism the desire of Western to be living in by liberal economy ecological gratuitous violence causes political ontologies and functions of metaphysical property the temporal stillness is from Columbian exchange to standing rock Clinton ontological structure that continues and the planet is a new country applied from the 19th United States was never from the beginning Trump is often speaks of Kansas basis is actually constructed empire wants power without presence making the country combined with multiple high wrestling defenses the empire into crisis long hidden not hard to ignore thus the alternative is decolonization took in 12 increments but contrast reconciliation with Israel Southern North Sea questions of what will happen need not be answered because decolonization accounts for injuries harmony settling future relinquishes settling future natives future unwritten possibilities decolonization offers a different perspective on and elsewhere the case the leadership circumvents the plan paying 23 senior officials of basically responsibility mobilizes public organization allows and allies targets retired military officials obstructing implementation and adopting preferred policy option and why would the United States ever first strict around this interlink consumption Pakistan would be overthrown and allies with China and Russia don't have terms the United States has too much or Iran has too much to lose with the war of the United States okay 11-17 the Iran does not dare not attack directly increases attacks with advantage to retaliate Iran goes beyond verbal attacks and not afford a war to aid against consent of the populace retaliation results in losing power American will continue to respond with force and as ever more impact lose 20 strategic constraints access capabilities damages results in every level of uncertainty the United States ability to attribute unwillingness to retaliations emphasis on espionage and escalation never occurred absent such as controlled cyber capabilities in the United States and cyber taxation not properly capable 21 that no cyber warfare called the new cyber war offers continuation of politics that allow for invasion and decisive points cyber reluctance of conventional war cyber taxation nuclear non-proliferation in the past we require for physical force there human costs deterred from launching an attack and spills over in ways of her like 20. The dominant theories about others are likely falling off race relating to the world and nuclear crimes, challenge destruction, apocalypse, risk of exponentially and cyber escalation myth, but it turns the case larger in 22. The cyber built on false assumptions, the cyber war provoking was wrong occurred between robbers and triggered escalation. The cyber wars contain below armed conflict, powers observed mutually, are line cyber attacks, power projection without conflict can be avoided by the Iran fund attacks are hard to avoid military retaliation without triggering war, and the plan is lots of hard to revisions, outages which cause extinctions. Bombing throughout 312, the strong US military prevents civilian strike, nuclear proliferation, and prevention. Biden has deterred Iran once Iran to attack with Iranian proxies. These assurances contributed to deterrence to Iran. Just as practically scale back brave, full-scale worldwide stances reassuring Israel is not striking Iran and the United States placing critical first shipping lanes that Iran hold influence without striking before use supports Iran as attacking the trade laws for looking into recession like the United States will attack these for to erase the absence of frame. We try to simulate everything environment makes nuclear weapons believing they will not pay into the price expense. Influence Iran is probably the full force. UAE tries nuclear weapons creates power vacuum and magical aggressive proliferates extinction. The B-22 no life or death war proliferation. Saudi Arabia, Turkey, Egypt, volatile region decision time and decisive cause of launch of warning policies hand in the hands of heroes accelerating nuclear war and loose nukes and even minor reductions cause Israeli preemptive strikes extinction. McConnell 17 critics such as stability Israeli history. Israel is terrified of being alone in suspicion of having way and decides Israel to behave aggressively. Israel's country and reassurances supporting to pursue the interest without an entry unrestrained cataclysm. 200 nuclear weapons extraordinary damages put up. If Israel does a goal cannot be dismissed. Russia war. Obviously, Russia cares more about Ukraine geopolitical proximity, military involvement, political incentives, and expert opinion. Neutral report president includes the impact source of 0.3%. Wrong figures 19. Getting perspectives causes a chance of nuclear between the United States and Russia around 0.3%. And escalation is practically impossible even if Putin wanted to. 282. The military capabilities are poor and equipment inferior. Major logistical difficulties. The lower morale sanctions combining a wider war nuclear weapons unlikely do not have for aversion and American exit costs for intervention extinction brands 19 calls for disengaging military left into the United States pulled backwards against higher cost countries to top energy strategic importance keeping in house happenings remain the finish of the United States can disengage without consequence. Russia Iran terrorist groups that cause instability demands and management and withdrawals are followed by engagements near the collapses ISIS resurgence emergency intervention to repair damage.
Okay, CX?
Yep.
Status of the counterclaim.
Comment.
The case page, what did you not read?
The deterrence term, the villain term, and the fair term.
Okay, perfect. The OLC, what is the Office of Legal Counsel?
Sure. It is close to the executive that does recommendations of legality towards previous use policies.
Where have you read a
also
piece of evidence that the
policies.
executive listens to the OLC's advice?
The Palestinian 22 evidence makes a claim that it's very important in legal counsels that the United States and the executive
It says that this
empirically
influences
listened
policymakers' decisions, but where does it talk about the executive listening to the OLC's verdicts?
Yeah, sure. That's what I was getting to. The OLC and the executive is highly focused on legality, which is a crucial aspect of the executive, which is why they've listened to the OLC in the past and why the counter plan logically results in the plan.
The Margwelli's evidence, what conflict does OLC transparency pacify?
Bolster soft power, which allows the United States to have more influence in reducing the risks of conflict.
What's the terminal impact?
It enhances law and democracy, which are results of soft power, which enhances stability in every hostile.
Where is that substantiated in any of your evidence?
The Margot's evidence makes a claim that the OLC and a controlled executive will allow for more soft power that enhances broader stability within its current policies.
Okay, the DIPCAP, DISAD, where have you read a piece of evidence that Iraq and Syria is key to Biden's DIPCAP?
It's not. The plan fiats that it uses more DIPCAP, which is what the plan, which is the link.
Wait, sorry, explain the link?
The plan uses Biden's uses DIPCAP that takes away from Israel, which escalates conflicts.
In what way?
In what way does it take?
How does that use up all of his diplomatic capital?
It doesn't use up all of it. It takes away from it in the same region, which has limited resources. We've substantiated some, and it would have to go towards Iraq and Syria, which takes away from controlling Israel.
What happens when we can't control Israel?
Sure, the Granville and CPI average are pretty specific. It inflames the Israel-Hamas conflict and also engages in the Israel-Iran conflict.
This evidence also seems to indicate that Russia's invasion of Ukraine and US-China relations alone can escalate the conflict. How is that something the app affects?
That's not what the line says. The line is saying that tensions are high due to those conflicts, but not a reason for escalation. Those tensions being high is something that the Israel-Hamas war escalating would result in.
Wait, CPI 23, what's the warrant for escalation?
It says that Netanyahu is backed into a corner and is forced to threaten
It says that the Middle East is a hotspot for New World War. Where does it say that the U.S. is key to like pacifying that conflict?
That was the rest of the dissent.
What's the warrant?
For pacifying conflict, it was the reason why the recent Israeli strikes like 2 days ago didn't escalate.
Okay, I will take part. You read all of the off-case positions, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that was 3 minutes taken. I'll send the card from the recorder.
How much time?
It was 3 minutes taken, so 2 remaining. Okay, I will put this in the file. It's going to be the same 1AC document on the 1 year cursor at the bottom. Let me know when you guys are good for an order.
Give me 1 second. I'm good for an order.
Okay, cool, good. It's going to be case advantage 1, advantage 2, T subsets, the T substantial or like percent argument, the set call K, the OLC counterplan, the land bridge pick, and then the dip cactus ad.
So, advantage, subset, substantial, K, counterplan, man bridge, dip cop.
Yeah. Then all the cards are in the file.
Wait, sorry. Could you repeat that?
Yeah, of course. Case, advantage 1, advantage 2. T subsets, the T substantial argument, set call, the OLC counterplan, the land bridge pick, the div cap disad.
Okay.
And then obviously the case will just be top down.
Wait. Okay. Yeah.
All signposts. Good?
Yeah.
One no circuit mention key strips that do not exist. Two PMCs are present. They would get withdrawn in the world. The permanent the key internal reference is basis from US uniform presence is bad. 3 first check is non-scenario. Cybertext escalate in Zachem doesn't assume force link to be linked to this target. B cybertext exploit regional instability and conflict. Greenberg does not assume proliferation is real. Cybertext be impact on this target because ambiguity without this drives conflict. They conceded every unique target in the warning. About why attacks now and Tippertat attacks now drive proxy mean that proxies independently escalate the conflict. The second advantage was pretty much conceded to by is non-unique. Machado 20 says that we've already lost strategic leverage. Which means there's no such thing as ceding the region to Russia because Russia already controls the region. No link to Israeli for check. They don't read a single piece of evidence that Iraq and Syria matter to Israeli perceptions of U.S. security guarantees. But the act actually solves this. We'll get to that on the defective. So Russia cares about Ukraine, but they concede that in this one, which means the advantage outweighs the impact because it means that Russia knows they will go to war with U.S. because they know they can win the conflict. Defense is old. It doesn't super Tippertat attacking miscalculation scenario. That is our scenario. The T base essentially includes sets we quantitative or qualitative. So to mirror 17th determination requirements is refers to quantitative or qualitative measurement. So sufficiently important it means within varying maternity within a particular place we should get our geographical community particular area part of the world any other areas of the country limits our cast kept on genetic checking because we call manufacturers process cannibals are all our past overly sports facilities we got no education ground genetic checking no country level measures military but often does not need government or there is a good we're still have tiny enemies force 20 our tax queue and users really keep their privacy with sufficient it's an T% you can cross by every single inch we read about substantial keeping quantity or quality which means that this argument goes away the K page for we use the way the case especially competitive equity and moves our offenses avoids clash case turns out ways to critique the link debate no debate one that we're an example right which has identity politics the efforts to make a clear investment liberal institution the card does not see anything against their experts but always society with the effort to defer divesting the idea that imperial institution like the US claims to know this first by no re-engagement link re-engagement proves the cycles and treasure which all means America remains a federal colonial proud the all can't prevent them from doing no one the LNZ colonies if they cancel if it isn't that proves state action isn't federal colonies the counterplan we get one if you're BC you should lose the debate anything else is subservient or just by the after amendment to be as if it's possible area isn't proportional to kind of be some part of time is inevitable to be the other area doesn't prevent us from reading through arrogance cons better for clash and excuse me 1 year time for 20 hours to your ready for return to the LLC kind of no success evidence no not about cover with such or 17 C case holds that benefit for the kind of way the FMB and Richard one just impacts that hold them to it the terminal impacts there's no net benefit the case definitely outweighs cancel time competition if you run the opportunity to escalate current there's no competition that was a cancel competition happens we any competition target that make will say we can't be out of reduction it only invites more respect the Galvanese Russian motivates are running incursion cancel you see looking at presence interpretation course can always need to affect the reason the plan is held on constitutional crimes keeps getting competence when he is in a debate to year the reason for perceptual authority first way the deployment habits or the debate of their counts first clash trying to educate no impact the language pick proper no impact because it's the war since there's real house and analysis non-decent but it has what can always be the language and key effective and compatible military includes everything most of our presence is counterterrorist means that they will exploit the ambiguity and use it to engage in military activity in one team running impairments through the American presence drives terrorism and instabilities that will include the American presence to military attacks absolutely by removing your cost of terror recruitment linked to letting the countries and allies use the better because the terrorists are motivated to protect their homeland motivated to protect their homeland then the United States if presence exists in the region then Iran and Russia will ask the defectors at Lincoln not cooperating with Russia with miscalculations towards alliance because we fear presently deployed elsewhere no link serious option non-allied with the is not one Lincoln chemist and hence use presence to assure us because unsuccessful reasons but no Lincoln French is a contract sustaining presence in Gaza the plungers by freeing of treason Lincoln declare remaining in the region where Russians more violence the link is embarrassing in fact by conflict between the issue and China the instability is coming down and the evidence against it intimately and non-unique, no internal or the plan makes relationship. One C French says nothing on their evidence says nothing on this question. Also cancel because Israel will just go after Gaza. Benjamin Davies at 23 Biden back Israel without serious destruction of Gaza. Also the breaking of the Plaza Americans and the supply weapons out of control genocide to the state linking force. Region already shut them traumatized debates. So we're making. I think that card was in the 1 AR file. If it wasn't, let me know and I will send that right now.
Which card?
The Benjamin and Davies 23 evidence.
Yeah.
Was that in the file?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Also, was that the only card you read on the dissent?
Yes.
What were the other arguments?
There was the link turn, the no link, and then there were 2 link turns, and 2 no links, and then the non-ED argument. I can read them if you like. Yeah, of course. Link turn, cooperating with Russia and Syria avoids miscalculation. No link, Syria is adversary, non-ally. Link term, Canada's intent is a U.S. presidency doesn't assure allies or like bolster DCAP. No link in turn, evidence is in the context of sustaining presence in Gaza, which the plan happens. And there were the non-nuclear agreements, like evidence is in the context of like Afghanistan and other regional instabilities.
Only voting issues content?
Yes. And the like courts for the like interpretation, courts counterplans need to suspect the reason the plan is held unconstitutional for the OLC counterplan.
Is that drop out?
Drop the debate.
To clarify, you only went for Advantage 2, right?
I answered the terms on the advantage one, but extended advantage two. Both were extended in one area, yes. What's the order?
It'll be T, OLC, Landbridge on the critique, dissent case.
more time.
T subsets T substantial. The velocity counterplan, the line ridge pick, the static case.
Okay, I'm just opening the doc.
Sorry, did you say there was a doc or no?
Yeah, I sent the cards.
Okay, I'm good.
Give me one. Okay. I'm also good.
Kicking the T-shells from teams to win for proving that they're fair, kicking the critique and the counterplan firms to test their competition, not to shift any advocacy, but all intercounter here, top level cross supply reasonability from T, offense, defensive pitch, pervasive intent to go for arbitrary, contrived interpretation with marginal risk of offense, which means that you should have for substance, 10 second wonder, doesn't just 5 3 minutes here, and T's are never procedural, stop counting one card, doesn't all them their offense, but limiting condoms are impossible because of 1 to see time constraints, so on the counterplan theory, you should drop the argument on the taking offense and dice the counterplan on the strategy that while answer counter tradition, the status quo should always be a logical option. 1 9 flex lower quality and dissets. More of you should be conditionality, lack of link uniqueness, military presence, meaningless specificity, since you makes the topic structure outlies like arbitrariness. There's no argumentative limit on the resolution, makes it or making debate hard for the adversary. This is a slippery subject, no via quality debates, testing for multiple angles, maximize rigorous testing for argumentative primary forces, better outwriting via intrinsically in-depth negative research allows for both sides to collapse to the best policy. Fourth, after conditionality, one paper based on 1C strategy which requires multiple regions, plan text, or meaning CS with shifting the African impact there. At best, the dispo means, or dispo doesn't solve means that we can read multiple counterplans, means that means that the one affects the two are, and also means that it's impossible to generate multiple advocacy. Expect there's no violation. It's not, it's illegal, not unconstitutional, also not a course counterplan. So there's no violation. New to violations being impetus impact the two can't answer it. So you should hold the line. The dip cap does it. Unchecked Israeli escalations now due to NAB's absence sustained a lot of capital because of internal pressure on Netanyahu. That's the incognitous evidence that it causes retaliatory strikes that expels across the Middle East and triggers spiraling escalating spirals that sparks nuclear responses that draws the United States and goes global. Turns the case diplomatic destabilization is impossible during an ongoing war. That CPI Israel Hamas escalation is the biggest impact. One attacker Netanyahu's political survivors on the line. If he doesn't strike, they're the only ones holding him in check due to U.S. diplomatic assurances. The perception alone causes escalation. That's economic. Time for my ways. You can only day. One day we should live to fight another day. Second magnitude. The conflict jeopardizes allies in Beijing and Moscow that inflames a quote new world war. Unstable actions are the biggest nuclear powers, which means that there is the most likely scenario for nuclear war. That's CPI, and it turns the case the link alone triggers their impacts. It emboldens Iran with the response of the counter stability of efforts of Syria and Israel and Iran relations being destroyed means that the United States is also forced to re-engage, but on worse terms with their escalatory, not classified, which is branch which was conceded on case link debate. There's two framing issues that they misunderstand. One, unique just filter the risk of the link through uniqueness debate. Capital is low now and entirely focused on preserving Israel from launching retaliatory strikes. There, any trade-off is negative. It means that Israel will go ahead with retaliatory strikes. Second, disruption. Allies are balancing this and minimize diplomatic investment with military assurances in the region of the status quo. Is the primary tool of Biden's administration to minimize engagement so they can shore up investment for Israel now. That means that any risk of disruption causes during the current diplomatic process is sufficient to trigger the link and withdrawal. This means limited capital in the Middle East. One, rebalancing. Two, withdrawal removes convincing partners to increase military involvement locally. It requires the getting partners to rearticulate and explain the rationale for the plan, which trades off with efforts for Israel. That's Jacobo. And second, reassurance. The plan signals to Israel that the United States commitments are not reliable. That's Jacobo. And should be at 17 for preservation of the United States credibility to reliable ally for Israel assets. The perception of the United States and the closest allies calling for a question that's all commitments to if Israel failures as the United States directive clients how Israel takes pledges seriously when the oldest allies cannot. Their link answers or answer the wrong link. We didn't read the card that they answered the rehighlighting of, and which means that the Afghanistan argument will be new in the two era because it was substantiated by evidence that they want to see that they inserted. The Syria is an adversary argument doesn't matter because you have to reassure our allies in Syria like the SDF and the SDF and the Kurds also conceded that it's to reassure also concede that we still have to reassure Iraq, which is definitely a US ally. Also the no links don't make any sense. One, they said that they say it would have to be after the fact, even if they would have to after even if they don't reassure now, they would have to do it after the fact because they have to go back and reassure them of their own security, which was a link that they conceded. The argument is also in the context of diplomacy in Gaza, not presence. We do not have military presence in Israel, but we do have going on diplomacy to Israel, which means it's a trade-off. They've conceded zero sum, so any trade-off like the plan is important, even if they don't care about Iraq and Syria. The United States definitely does have to reassure them, and they do care about it, which means it doesn't matter. DIPCAP solves the very issue of claims insolvency should be recency, even if they win that our claims are true by US DIPCAP would have escalated. It hasn't, so it's the only factor limiting it now. You assume that their link terms are empirically denied from ours because ours are from 2 days ago, citing recent attacks that their evidence doesn't assume, and it's also a new 1 year stance of caution. It's also a new United States stance of caution. That's the opposite of what their evidence mentions. The Benjamin Davis evidence, they have it backward in contemporary times. Biden is the sole reason Israel didn't launch a huge barrage against Iran and escalate conflict, which is one that's uniqueness, which means that it's the only reason holding back conflict. Even if he has intentions of supporting Israel, that is something that neither the plan plane nor the distant effects, but it is something that you can control and independently Israeli feel are pleasing, but it supports enough to trigger the link. One, Hawks by diplomacy. Diplomatic capital is the only firebreaker against Hawks and overruling diplomatic controls. Leftist moderation and moderate fears of losing international support is what keeps them in check. Second, international standing in the United States pressure is the sole factor creating international support for Israel being as essentially creating credibility, which is sufficient for the case debate. Their still main problem is that deterrence is failing. One, they're concerned with survival of the planet. Poland's Iran is showing aggression that is effective, so it can't solve the case. But the status quo stalls because they scale back full-scale conflicts that stop them from airstrikes in the United States. That's bad. It outweighs because it's from a month ago with inciting evidence or inciting recent events that their evidence does not assume. Second, strategically limited. Iran does not have the capabilities for a full-scale war, and they realize that the advantage is outdated and doesn't consider broader Iranian strategies. Third is influence. Iran is withdrawing from their military influence and telling troops to back off, which is Wegmann evidence, which is proven by the status quo is stabilizing now based on the calling off of new airstrikes, which means that there's a uniqueness question that they fail to acknowledge that outweighs their directive security status and deterrence is failing is outdated and all the repeat based on reporters who can't analyze the broader context of the region, which means that only one theory is correct and they don't have a risk of escalation. Interplay didn't extend the Iran war comes to extinction and drops that it doesn't, so there's no terminal impact. The Russian war scenario, they've made a claim about tit-for-tat conflicts but have not explained it. Russia did the plane stuff that violated the United States code of command earlier last year, which means that it's the reason as to why it hasn't escalated since July. Two reasons. First, incentives. Ukraine is much closer and they've invested so much funds into the military. Syria isn't a direct threat to Russia, which is proven by the fact that it doesn't escalate. Second, Putin has practically staked his political career on winning the war in Ukraine. Syria only increases his chance of losing, which locks in his impeachment, which means that he would never stake it, which is the conceded analytic number. Second is the U.S.-Russia war never escalated. M1 experts, historical precedent of the plan starts to impact at 0.3%. The longest lasting global powers are familiar with de-escalation. That's Rodriguez. Second, capacity. Russia is wiped out of Ukraine. They have logistical equipment and moral problems. Sanctions mean that they can't even fund Ukraine, especially not in the war, which is a Simone evidence.
Okay, I have 2 minutes remaining. Okay, the order is going to be case, advantage 1, advantage 2, decide. Good?
Give me 1 second. My computer's. Why does it do that? Said, what were the advantages?
Advantage 1, Iran, and then Russia, and then the DipCap decide.
Okay. Yeah, I'm good.
Cool. Conceding there's no impact to Iran war should massively decrease the scope of the dissent. We're going for the second advantage, which they've mishandled in 2 speeches. The top-level framing argument here is that Russia war turns out ways Israeli first strike on time and probability. Israel is already fighting a war in 2 fronts and will not open a third. It would be a diplomatic disaster. Netanyahu is too busy pandering to the West to care about nuking the region. The case turns the dissent before the dissent turns the case because Russia kicks retribution eligibility and motivates Nazi actors like Hezbollah and other terrorist organizations to engage in more brazen attacks. Russia war outweighs on time frame. Also, they've conceded the miscalculation is sufficient to trigger conflict, that any tit-for-tat attacks could result in things like misperception and misattribution of attacks, which means that Russia will escalate all of their defenses, not respond to such scenario because it's specifically in the context of direct confrontation, or if what would happen if Russia decided to nuke the U.S. homeland. That's not our argument. Our argument is that Russia would be emboldened to engage in a conflict with the United States because they are compelled to engage in a nuclear conflict in a world where they misperceive U.S. presence as adversarial. The only way to solve that is by getting out of the region. They've conceded every internally got misperception of adversarial approach, which proves that attacks are probabilistically more likely as time passes, and also that it's try or die for the affirmative because they've conceded that Russia controls Syria and maintaining presence in the region only increases the risk of escalation. This solves the disadvantage because we don't have troops on the ground in Israel, removing enough of our presence in Iraq and Syria would signal restraint to allies. Israel does not care about the U.S. domestic politics. We linked her Israeli first strike base, or we linked her the impact of the disadvantage because one year said Iran was reactionary to U.S. presence, which means that their internal link is predicated on Israeli reaction to Iran, which is solved by the affirmative because if we get out of the region, Iran is no reason to proliferate. The same is true for Russia because they already control the region, which means it's try or die for the affirmative. Course of direct confrontation are not responsive. That was above. If Russia believes it's being nuked by the U.S., then they will escalate. We'll explain why tit-for-tat conflicts matter here. The uniqueness debate outweighs here. Spega 23 proves that Russia cares more about Syria than Ukraine, and frames the analytic of the 200 because it proves that even if it looks like Russia is shifting elsewhere, they are not. And are in fact securing security interests in Syria. That when the evidence was explicit that Russia has sufficient security concerns in Syria to maintain control of the region. But even if you don't buy that, they're just not winning. That Russia does not have control of the region, which was a conceded one to see argument. U.S.-Russia war will not escalate in the context of Russia like nuking the homeland, which was the overreach quote, does not stop airstrikes on the wall, and everyone want to see uniqueness claim about Russia proves that tit-for-tat attacks will escalate. Look, that should frame the way you evaluate the case page miscalculation internally. The dip is that. One, you should hold on to internal link evidence. The time crunch 20 makes it impossible to hedge against the standback tuner. The line by the proper link shouldn't use presence in the region drives instability Iran's reaction, which they conceded to year 17 about non-commitment to non-proliferation agreements, not the affirmative. The link turn entities are reassurance argument. They are sure the U.S. is incapable of reassuring allies because of being in the region complicates regional stability. We didn't read the re-highlighting their indicting. They conceded that reassurances. They conceded that the U.S. cannot reassure allies because that's Candace and Hannah and Brownlee, which means that the U.S. only worsens regional instability. The link turn answers the true bargain. Diplomacy isn't a trade-off. It's an assertion by the tenor post when the U.S. can exist in other countries, and they reassure Israel as a result of this because it reactionary claims here that we perhaps how they public report as good. They continue two linkers. They're framing the use value. This debate. One is a cooperating with Russian Syria boys with calculation shorts allies. They concede every piece of one evidence about why overstretch makes U.S. commitments ambiguous, and Candace and Hannah says the president does not assure allies and has in fact failed because Iran is reactionary. It's clear the U.S. being in the region is bad. The same is true for Russia since they have control of the reason the U.S. has failed. Excuse me.